Hey everybody, I'm Robert Yerby, and I'm an insurance professional, and admittedly, kind of an insurance nerd. My friends and family tell me that nobody is going to want to listen to a podcast about insurance. So instead, on this show, I'm hoping to share a story or have a conversation with a guest about some relatable experience, and then show you how insurance impacts that story or topic. My hope is you'll enjoy a few laughs with me and maybe learn at least one interesting thing about insurance along the way. Here we go. Hey everybody, this is Robert, and it's podcast time. Thanks for listening, and I apologize. It's been so long since I did an episode. I realize it's been a month. As of the date that I'm recording this anyway, it's been a month since I did episode 88, which was Medicare changes with Eddie Velez. And I don't like to go that long. I want to be dropping an episode every couple of weeks, and it's not because I didn't have enough material, or I didn't have things to talk about. I certainly did. Life got a little busy, and I apologize. And I hope that you guys weren't wondering. I hope you guys weren't worried about me. I'm reminded of something that happened yesterday. First, let me say really quickly. I'm in Panama City, Panama, as I'm recording this. Okay, I've been here a few days, and I'm traveling solo. Okay, my girlfriend Daisha is not with me. She is back home in Arizona. And she and I had a text exchange yesterday. I'd love to summarize for you. Okay, so yesterday morning, and also I should mention, there's a 2-hour time difference between Arizona and Panama City right now. So we are texting yesterday morning, and it was just kind of like a, hey, good morning, just sleep well, have a great day, that kind of stuff, right? And then there's nothing for a few hours because she's a dental hygienist. She's busy at work doing dental hygiene things and not talking on the phone, not texting and stuff like that, right? As you would expect. And so hours goes by, and I have texted her a few things, which really aren't all that important. She's going to be joining me in about 2.5 weeks. And so I was just texting her a couple ideas about some things. And so it was, let's say, noon, okay? It was many, many hours after she had last texted me. But I had sent her a few things. She said, okay, babe, that's nice, responding to something that I had suggested. And then she immediately says, how's it going? Okay? And these are time stamped. Okay, the how's it going was at 12:01 p.m. Okay, at 12:17 p.m. she texts, babe, with 2 question marks. I had been walking around the city. I had just stepped into a restaurant and sat down. I was looking at the menu. Okay. In that 16 minutes in between her text messages, I'd just been on the street walking and getting into a restaurant. That's all. So I texted, good, just sat down at a restaurant for lunch. And she says, okay. And she hearts the message. She sends a laughy face. And then, love you, heh, sorry, haha. Well, I text back, me not answering for 10 minutes doesn't mean I was abducted. I was walking. And, that's just kind of how she's been a little bit the last few days. If I don't answer immediately, her mind immediately jumps to, I've been kidnapped or worse. And her mind is racing, trying to figure out how she's going to help me or get help for me, And I'm trying to tell her, no, it's fine here. It's a lot like America, actually. As far as foreign travel. This isn't that exotic. And I don't feel unsafe. So anyway, I hope that podcast listeners weren't, in the month that I didn't drop an episode, I hope you weren't wondering like, oh my gosh, is he okay? I hope he's okay. How can we find out that he's okay? I'm fine. I've been busy. Like I said, I'm in Panama City now. Since that episode with Eddie, I've been all over the place. I went to Chicago for my family Thanksgiving with my kids. That would have been like, right around Veterans Day. And then from there, I went to Las Vegas, and we went to a learning technology conference, me and a coworker. And then I went to Montana. I was up in Missoula for a week and a half. I was there for the Cat Grizz rivalry football game at tailgates, and Daisha was up there with me for that. That was a lot of fun. And then where did I go after that? Oh, then I went to Detroit and had American Thanksgiving with my parents, and I saw a lot of siblings and nephews. I have twin nephews that are, I don't know, I'm guessing here, maybe 6 months old now, something like that, and getting big. And so all of that's great. I was back in Arizona for a week, and now I'm in Panama City. So, I don't know if that's a good excuse, but it's a reason why it's been tough to get a podcast episode together. Anyway, I think what I want to visit about, and I'm going to be upfront about the insurance angle here rather than leaving it till the end. There's a lot of stuff that's been going on, a lot of like lifestyle kinds of changes, and it's amazing how many of them have insurance, implications. Okay, so I've said before that my youngest son Damon has gone off to college. And he's not far away. He's in Prescott, Arizona, and doing great. He's got finals this week, and actually this is the last day of finals week. He's probably done. He's probably on his way back to his mom's house to hang out there for a month or so and be done with school, not think about school for a while. Well, it was going on 20 years ago. Well, no. Yeah. It'll be 20 years ago in July. Okay, so I've got about 7 months. 20 years ago in July, I applied for life insurance, knowing that my wife and I were going to have a baby, and I needed more life insurance. So I got a 20-year term life policy, and the premium guarantees on that term life policy will expire in July. And I'm thinking about that. I'm not going to pay the increased premiums once the guarantees expire. I also don't need as much insurance as I did when, I was anticipating having a newborn and, 18, 20 years worth of responsibilities in front of me. My son is doing well in school. I will give him all credit. He's paying his own tuition. And while I'm helping him a little bit here and there, he's a productive adult, and he's doing all of the things he needs to do. And if something happens to me, he's going to be fine. I don't feel like I need life insurance to protect him so much. So yeah, the amount of insurance is going to be quite a bit lower in terms of what I need. But I am going to need some kind of life insurance. So I'm anticipating applying for some life insurance. I'm also kind of looking at just how my insurance needs, are changing as I'm getting older. And I've said on this show before, I don't have major medical insurance. All over the news right now is talk about rising premiums for Obamacare marketplace plans, and the subsidies for certain individuals are expiring and all this. I don't really worry about that. I don't have a marketplace plan. I don't have an ACA compliant major medical insurance plan with, I guess, my current situation, income situation, I suppose. I don't qualify for any subsidies, and the insurance is ridiculously expensive for the risk that I would be transferring. So I don't have it. So I don't have, an ACA compliant plan. Instead, I have a critical illness insurance plan that would just pay me a lump sum if I'm diagnosed with cancer, heart disease, if I have a stroke, a few other things in there. Just cash. So there's two things really embedded in my argument against major medical insurance. Number one is just the premiums are crazy. Okay, I'm a healthy guy. I take good care of myself. If it was a medically underwritten, individually underwritten policy, and they were to, look at my health history, if they took my blood pressure, they gave me an exam, and I was paying a premium based on my own individual underwriting, I think the rates I could get would be a lot lower, and maybe then I'd be interested. But that's not how they do that. You tell them your age, your zip code, your smoker status, and not a whole lot else. And they give you a rate. And it's garbage. Okay? There's a disincentive for people taking care of themselves. And so I'm not interested. I'm not doing it. So I go a different way. The other thing that's sort of embedded in that argument is I have very little interest in arguing with insurance companies after I'm sick or hurt about what they will or will not pay for. And that is so much a part of the major medical insurance experience. Okay, you need surgery. Oh, you got to get that pre-approved by the insurance company. You want to take this medicine, you got to get that approved. You want to get this done, you want to see this doctor, you want to do this, you got to get approval. And so what if they don't approve? What then? You just, all of a sudden, you don't need that? Of course you do. If you need it, you need it. And I'm not arguing with some insurance person about whether or not I'm going to get something done. I would rather take the cash and then I'll spend it the way that me and my doctor think we need to spend it. And I totally understand there can be problems with that route also. Okay? The money that I'm paid by the insurance company upon my diagnosis might not be enough. That is true. Yep, that's a risk. Is it bigger than the risk of the insurance company screwing me over and telling me that they're not going to cover something that I actually need? I don't know. But the aggravation factor that would be coming along with the insurance company arguing with me about what I'm going to do, I'm not into that. I refuse. I'm not going to take that risk. I'll take the other risk. But I've talked about that a little bit before on other episodes. So another insurance or potential insurance need I might have is long-term care insurance. Okay, I might need long-term care at some point during my life. And here again, I'm in pretty good shape. I'm 49 years old. I'm gonna talk to somebody who's an expert in long-term care and planning for long-term care. I have an appointment with her next week. And I don't know exactly how that's going to go. Maybe it will figure into my life insurance purchase because there's policies you can get that blend those two things. You'd call those living benefits. I get a life insurance policy that comes with a living benefit. It's, long-term care insurance. That might be something, but, I know enough to be dangerous. I'm pretty well educated on insurance. Okay. I know, all the different principles that are applicable here, but I don't know a lot of the details. I don't know the market. And so I want to talk to somebody that is living, eating, and breathing long-term care insurance details, day to day. And yeah, Lori is my gal that I'm going to talk to next week. And believe it or not, I'm excited about that stuff. I like those sorts of conversations. So I've got that going on. The other thing, and maybe I'll have a longer episode about this at some point in the future, but I'm trying to refinance my condo, and my mortgage broker is having trouble because my condo association, their insurance policy to cover like the community property and the buildings, roof and all that, their deductible for their insurance is too high for Fannie Mae's liking. And my broker is trying to get me into a secondary market loan. So this is a problem. Yeah, my condo association, they have a $25,000 deductible, and that's too high for Fannie Mae. So, one thing leads to another. I'm talking to the condo manager, and she's like, well, you know what? We're aware this is a problem. All the sales of condo units here the last couple of years have had to be cash because people can't get loans. I was like, oh yeah, okay, that's a problem. She's like, well, you could maybe be helpful. We're starting an ad hoc committee to look at the issue. So that's how I got roped into being in a committee on my condo association. We haven't had a first meeting yet. I'm hopeful. I don't have a lot of homework. I don't mind dialing in on a meeting, but I don't know if I want homework. But we'll see how that goes. I'm definitely somebody that's affected, by the issue. So it seems only right I should probably help out if I can. But all this to say, there's just a lot of insurance stuff going on all around me all the time, and never ends. It never ends. You go through different stages of life. There's always something going on with the insurance. Geez, it's something else. Changing beneficiaries. I still have another 6 months left on that term life policy, but I've changed the beneficiaries around a little bit. I had a legal obligation to have my ex-wife on there, Damon's mom, and that's expired. I don't have that responsibility anymore, so I changed the beneficiaries around a little bit. I've got now 3 adult sons. I got a girlfriend, and she's not my wife yet, but we are kind of merging our financial lives a little bit, and she depends on me to some degree. So I've got that to think about. But yeah, just insurance is just absolutely everywhere. It's not insurance technically, but I have a vehicle service contract, all right, for mechanical breakdown coverage on my Camaro. And, that had a problem a little more than a month ago, I think it was. And I want to do an episode on that. That will be a whole episode in and of itself. That was an ordeal. And when I'm talking about like arguing with people about whether or not something needs to be done or whether or not it's covered, like that was a great example. Maybe the next episode that I put out, we'll talk about that problem with the turbo on the Camaro. All right, we'll call that a tease. How about that? That was a quick episode, but I'm going to leave it at that, and I hope to have the next one out here shortly. If you have any questions or comments, you can always send those to me at robert@bmfce.com. If you happen to be a licensed insurance agent or adjuster and you need continuing education credits, you can check out our live webinars at bmfce.com. And as always, hey man, if you like the show, leave us a rating, leave us a review, and always helpful, if you like the episode, forward it to a friend that, maybe has some lifestyle changes that are similar to mine. I'd really appreciate that. And then check back for another episode here real soon. Thanks, everybody.